Joining us now to talk about this situation between Trump and Netanyahu, the general relationship between the U.S. and Israel. A friend of ours, black conservative, also one of the leaders in the black Jewish community, Ms. Mariam Maria. Mariam, how are you doing?
Fine. How are you doing?
I am outstanding. All right, so you probably have heard the whole situation between Trump and Netanyahu, with Trump allegedly cussing Benjamin Netanyahu out. What do you think this says about the relationship between Trump and Netanyahu, and what do you think it means for the U.S. and Israel relationship?
Well, for Trump and Netanyahu, I think, honestly, I feel like they're the two sides of the same coin, in my opinion. And I really don't think it's going to change much in the relationship between Trump and Bibi, because they're just they're too much alike. And you and I both know when you get two people who are just alike, they'll have a tendency to clash more than they'll get along. But as for the relationships between U.S. and Israel, I think that's beyond Trump and beyond Bibi, because I'll be honest, at the end of the day, America and Israel has had a close relationship for decades, before Bibi was around and before Trump was around. And I think it will continue because we both benefit from each other.
And can you explain that to me, or to the listeners? Because I had someone ask me that earlier, like, what exactly does America benefit from the relationship with Israel? Israel's gotten, I think, $300 billion in aid. Essentially America is their guarantor security-wise in the region. It's stronger than even the Article 5 guarantee that NATO has. But people ask, what exactly does the U.S. get out of that, or what do the American people get out of it?
Well, a lot of people don't realize that aid to Israel is conditional, unlike other countries. For Israel, when they get aid from the United States, all that aid has to be spent in the United States. So majority of the time, that's helping with jobs in the United States. I hate to say it, the military-industrial complex, because Israel can't take that money elsewhere. Like when we give aid to other countries, when the U.S. gives aid to other countries, they can spend the money a lot of times wherever they want. Israel cannot. Israel has to come back to the United States and spend that aid. So if they get $300 million, that's usually a multiplier, because that's not only $300 million comes back to the United States, but it has to come back. It comes back in jobs, materials they buy, et cetera, et cetera. So unlike other countries, it's a benefit to the United States, because if Israel went other places to spend that money, then that might be that contract job that's no longer around. So that's how the U.S. benefits. Basically.
So I guess the question means, so my family's from Haiti. We would love $300 billion. And if somebody told us we could have $300 billion, we was had to buy it from America, we'd be like, cool, all right, we'll just send the check, send me the Cash App. So why is it that relationship exists with Israel but not with other countries?
I'm not sure. I mean, because we do give aid to other countries. It's not like it doesn't exist. We give aid to a number of African countries, Mexico. We give aid in different ways. It's just Israel gets pointed out because I truly believe because it is the only Jewish country. But we do give aid. We give aid either via NATO to many European countries. We give aid to tons of countries, either in financial and maybe not so much because they've gotten rid of USAID, which gave a lot of aid to different countries. But we do give millions. And personally, I mean, my own personal opinion is that I really like to see the aid. It does benefit Israel, but I feel Israel needs to stand on its own two feet, because also, like anything, when someone gives you money, they control you.
Mm-hmm. And so on that point, I think many people feel as if right now, the current war that we're in, every single time Trump gets really excited and says, hey, we got a ceasefire, we're about to have an end to the war, only thing we have to do is get Israel to sign off on it, and then Netanyahu bombs somebody, and then the Iranians walk away from the table. Do you think it's good for America to kind of be dependent on Israel to make any sort of deal when it comes to ending this war?
No, I honestly think because Israel's a sovereign country, the United States is a sovereign country. If the United States wants to make a deal with Iran, I say go for it. But just like if the United States wanted to make a deal with one country, if another country doesn't agree, that's on that other country. But Israel,
But the
my
problem
opinion
is,
is,
this is where I think the issue comes in, because we have Section 224 of the National Defense Authorization Act, which essentially would merge the U.S. and Israeli military. That's going through Congress right now. We'll have a tied together supply chain. Our militaries trained together, and essentially from the Iranian perspective, I spoke to some of my contacts in Iran earlier today. They say if they make a deal with the U.S. to open the Straits of Hormuz tomorrow, by tomorrow night, Israel will be bombing Tehran. So it has to be an agreement between the U.S., Israel, Hezbollah, and Iran for it to work. And so that really means that Netanyahu has a veto on any potential ceasefire or peace deal. So is it good?
Well, here's a question here's a question I ask you, because you stuck in Hezbollah. Hezbollah is not the official government of Lebanon. Lebanon has already tried to sever, saying Hezbollah is not their government. So why are we making a deal with Hezbollah if that's not the official governor of Lebanon? I'm not trying to throw things off, but you stuck Hezbollah in there.
Well, the reason that Hezbollah is in there because Hezbollah is one of the Iranian proxy networks. So essentially,
Exactly.
So Hezbollah Iran is the suzerain of Hezbollah. So they can't make any deal that turns their back on their allies in Lebanon and Hezbollah, which is why they're saying that any deal they make with America that reopens the Straits of Hormuz and ends this conflict also has to involve Israel no longer bombing Hezbollah. So Israel has a veto. Is that good for America, for us not to be able to get out of a war until Benjamin Netanyahu is able to execute his goals in Lebanon?
Well, I don't think it's good, but it's also, that has to go two ways. I mean, we could say, okay, Israel, stop bombing Lebanon, but what's going to stop the rockets from coming over?
So
why have the rockets have not stopped coming over from Hezbollah, is what I'm asking. I have friends. In fact, I just got off the phone with my friend who lives in northern Israel. The rockets are still coming over. Even when there was a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, Hezbollah was still firing rockets over. So it has to be unanimous. How can you ask someone, stop firing rockets, when are we just going to sit there? Like if Mexico was firing rockets at the United States, are we supposed to sit there and do nothing if Canada asks us to ceasefire?
But see, this I think is where the issue comes in for the American people, which is Israel and Lebanon is their own problem. That does not involve my gas over here in Atlanta. But now my gas is $5 a gallon because Benjamin Netanyahu keeps firing rockets, or Hezbollah keeps firing rockets. Whoever is firing rockets, can we just get them to stop and keep us out of it, because this isn't our problem? I think that's the problem with Trump walking into this war, that now we are in these folks' business and we have no way of getting out of it.
Exactly. And my opinion is, how would I describe this? I'm trying to be as diplomatic as possible. I honestly feel that Israel and Iran, that's a war that's between Israel and Iran. Although I feel the war between the United States and Iran was long overdue. It should have been done 50 years ago before it became Israel and Iran. In fact, I felt we should have gone to war 50 years ago when they took our hostages. Why we waited till now, I don't know. That I can't explain why.
Well, I think you're seeing exactly why. There's no possible way to win a war with Iran. Along the western border is an entire mountain range that has kept people out since Alexander the Great. To the south is the Straits of Hormuz, where it can shut off the global oil supply. Within rocket and bomb range, they can destroy all the oil and natural gas fields in Qatar and Saudi Arabia. They can knock out desalination plants in Israel and in UAE. They can bomb the straits, the Bab el-Mandab Strait, the ports of Djibouti and Mocha. They can destroy the Suez Canal if they felt like it. That's why we haven't gone to war with them, because there's externalities that affect the international market. So whereas Israel and Iran might have problems, the spillover of that is that they can shut down the entirety of the global gas supply, and that's why we haven't gone to war. So why is it that Trump is the first president that kind of got tricked into this by Netanyahu? And then we have to hit a quick break.
To be honest, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's, I don't know if it's and what I want to say is an ego by Trump, because I truly feel that when they did the what they call the bunker busters last year, I and he was telling everybody, be quiet, I'm going to create peace. I honestly feel he was trying to go for like a Nobel Peace Prize or something. I thought it was more of a Trump ego than anything, because Israel was fighting. At the time, Israel was in Gaza. We were fighting the Gaza war. And why all of a sudden Iran started shooting rockets, so Israel fired back. But then all of a sudden the bunker busters came in, and I thought, why? Why is the United States getting involved? And I just feel like part of it is too much ego in the room. And like I said, you're saying because of Iran and everything, but 50 years ago, Iran didn't have all the rockets and the power that they do now. If they had taken care of the IRGC then when they took our people.
The thing is, Iran was actually more powerful then, oddly enough, because under the Shah, they were completely financed by the U.S. military. So they had F-14 Tomcats, which were top-of-the-line fighters. Okay. They had F-4 Phantoms. They had F-5 Tigers. I mean, they had a military that would have. That's why we end up in the Iran-Iraq war, because the Iranian military was so powerful that Saddam realized they had to try to take them out while they were politically weak, and they ended up in an 8-year-long stalemate. That's why we couldn't just invade Iran 50 years ago. But we're going to talk more about this after the break. We're a little bit over. After the break, I want to talk to you about my idea, which is that if this plan worked so great to get Israel a Jewish nation state, why can't we do that the exact same thing we did for them? And we'll do the exact same thing for black folks here in America. We'll talk about that after the break. News and Talk 1380 WAOK.